Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's book I'm going to introduce is Unequal Childhood by Annette Lareau. This book takes an in-depth look at the different educational approaches taken by families of different social classes, and how these approaches impact children's development and led to the reproduction of social inequality. First, let's look at the educational approaches of different social classes. Middle-class families generally take a concerted cultivation approach to educating their children. This means parents actively intervene in their children's learning and development. Specifically, first, middle-class parents enroll their children in all kinds of hobby and sports classes, so the children have very rich extracurricular activities, which requires parents to invest a lot of time and money. For example, Garrett, a child mentioned in the book, has to take part in baseball, soccer, swimming, piano and saxophone classes every week. His parents not only have to drive him to and from these activities, but also accompany him throughout. A middle-class family spends at least $4,000 a year on a child's extracurricular activities. Second, in daily conversations, middle-class parents pay attention to developing children's ability to think and express themselves. They consciously stimulate children to learn to express themselves clearly and think logically. Third, middle-class parents also actively intervene in their children's education at school by communicating with teachers and fighting for more resources. In contrast, working-class families mostly take a natural growth approach. The main characteristics are: first, working-class children have very simple extracurricular activities, mainly playing by themselves without requiring much parental time or money investment. For example, after school they just hang out with friends or watch TV at home. Second, conversations between parents and children are very simple and direct, mainly parents commanding children. The children's own thoughts are rarely asked for. Finally, working-class parents hardly participate in their children's education at school. They hold an attitude of deference and obedience towards teachers. From the above, we can see that families of different social classes have obvious differences in their educational philosophies. Middle-class parents emphasize engagement and collaboration, while working-class parents adopt a hands-off, natural growth approach. So what are the different impacts of these two educational approaches on children's development? The cases studied in the book were tracked over 10 years. The results found that middle-class children who underwent concerted cultivation all went to college, and also tended to have more confident and optimistic personalities. Whereas most working-class children who experienced natural growth only graduated from high school, and were more pessimistic and depressed in personality. The key lies in how the different educational approaches imparted children with different amounts of cultural capital. Cultural capital refers to a kind of intangible social resource, including qualities like self-confidence, knowledge, verbal ability, and interpersonal skills. Through concerted cultivation, middle-class parents pass down more cultural capital that is valued and respected by mainstream society. The rich extracurricular activities, thoughtful guidance from parents, and ample interpersonal interaction all become important ways for children to accumulate unique cultural capital. Whereas the cultural capital imparted by working-class parents is seen as less valuable by mainstream society. Therefore, the different educational approaches result in children accumulating different reserves of cultural capital from a young age. These capital discrepancies expand over time, eventually leading to huge gaps in their social status and income as adults. Of course, concerted cultivation and natural growth each have their pros and cons. Concerted cultivation gives children more advantages in mainstream society, but can also burden them with excessive busyness and stress. Natural growth allows children more freedom and happiness, but is less conducive to them acquiring the cultural capital valued by mainstream society. The lesson this book gives us is that we should attach importance to cultivating children's cultural capital through family education. For example, pay more attention to developing children's thinking skills, enhancing their interpersonal skills, nurturing their interests and hobbies, etc. Because these are the important cultural capital that will make them more competitive in future society. Certainly, we shouldn't force children to take all kinds of classes just for the sake of imparting cultural capital. We should still decide based on each child's interests and strengths. The most important thing is to cultivate children with an attitude of equality and respect, rather than simple commands and control. That's all for today. For friends interested in education and child development, Unequal Childhood is absolutely worth reading. If you also want to gain deeper insight into the impacts of different educational approaches, I recommend purchasing and thoroughly reading this book. Thank you for watching. See you next time.